Hey everybody, before we get started, I wanted to let you all know that at the end of this video, there's going to be an opportunity to win a copy of the new expansion pack for Guild Wars 2, Janthier Wilds. It was donated by Jacera over in the Discord, and yeah, hang around until the end of the video and figure out how you can get your opportunity to win that expansion pack. So, without further ado, let's get to my first impressions about Guild Wars 2 over the past 5 days of me playing it. I've put in about 35 hours. I'm over level 50 now. Even since I've stopped streaming it, I have continued to play it. It has been a very big experience with more than I could possibly hope to understand being thrown at me, so I will do my best to talk about it in a way that does it justice, while also trying to grasp at the feet of the gods who know everything about this. Be aware that I am still woefully uninformed. This is simply my first impressions as someone who has played it. And I will try to be respectful in the house that I am in, and knowing that there is just so much to understand about this game that I couldn't possibly hope to understand. It's kind of hard to give my first impressions about this game because of how much there is going on in it and how overwhelmed I sort of feel currently at this moment. As we speak, I have a human necromancer who is a little bit over level 50. I have done multiple world bosses, multiple jump puzzles. I have done dungeons. I have hung out with lots and lots of people. I have seen homesteads. I have seen mounts. I have seen legendary gear. I have had explained to me how legendary gear works, and I still don't completely get it. The horizontal progression is still kind of confusing to me, but I sort of get what's going on. I'll try to get to that here in a little bit. But in general, I would say that my opinions about this game have been extremely positive. I guess I'll start at the beginning of what I remember about playing about it, and we'll work our way sort of through my adventure and my progress through this game. We'll talk about the highs. I'll talk about some of the lows, because there are some negatives that I have about this game. But before we do that, I just want to say that I have played lots and lots of MMOs, from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls Online, RuneScape, Endless Online, Mabinogi. I've played MapleStory and Dungeons and Dragons Online and Lord of the Rings Online, and I will say that as this game is, the early game is maybe the best early game that I have ever experienced in an MMO. So we start off, I am in this new place that I've never been before. I'm told to talk to a scout. I go and talk to the scout. It opens up the map a little bit for me, and me and the group of people who have joined me on this journey, who, by the way, thank you to you guys. You guys did so much to help me actually get through this and sort of start to understand the world a little bit. We go around, we do these heart quests, we start finding vistas. I'm seeing all these cool skills, all these cool mounts, all these cool outfits, and I'm starting to sort of feel like, oh, this is fun, but it's sort of just an MMO to me. And then everyone tells me that there's a world boss about to happen. So we go and do this world boss. It's called the Shadow Behemoth, and it's my first encounter with anything like this in this game. And I'll probably put a clip of it here because it went really comically. Guys? Guys? I don't think we're supposed to be here yet, guys. Oh no! I tried to hit V and it didn't work because I hit B instead. You for getting me back up, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and heal. Underworld portals have spawned. Oh my. But to long story short, this amazed me. I kind of couldn't believe how good this content was for me being less than an hour into the game. I had only been playing for a little bit. I had done very little, and already they're throwing me into content and allowing me to play content that I think you can't experience in any other MMO until you've put at least tens of hours, if not hundreds of hours into. This boss is enormous. It's a giant set piece in this swamp with all of these demonic portals around it. It has mechanics that you have to learn and understand how to do, and I cannot play this game at this point. There are so many things going on. There are multiple action bars that I have to cycle through. I have multiple cooldowns that I'm trying to keep track of. I have a secondary mode for my character in which I have to use a shadow aura thing to make me invulnerable to most normal attacks, where I get a second health bar and I can do more damage. I don't even know how to utilize that at this point. So I die over and over and over again. Couple all of that with the fact that we're in an overflow lobby, which we might get to in a little bit. And man, it was a difficult challenge, but it was a lot of fun, and it made me really interested in sticking through this process to see where this takes me. So after that, I believe that I've hit a point to where I can start doing my story quests. So I go and start doing my story quest. Now, the story in this game is probably my personal low point for it. I think that MMO stories never really speak to me. I've heard that it gets much better, but I've heard the same thing about Final Fantasy XIV, and I never clicked with the Final Fantasy XIV story. In this game, I would sort of correlate it kind of heavily to that sort of storyline. Now, all of the story quests are completely voice acted, and they're voice acted really well. There are some really big name voice actors here, and the music throughout these story quests and throughout the world in general is absolutely top tier. It is surprisingly good, and I had learned while exploring the city that this music was actually made by the same guy who did the music for Elder Scrolls, so obviously the music is going to be great. The strings were a dead giveaway for me, and it was really, really good. So we start doing these story quests, and over this time, I start picking up my leveling progress a little bit. We get a little bit further into the game. I make it to roughly level 20 on my first day of playing it, and I have some conversations with some people about the things that are going on, but I still don't have a good understanding of what makes this game so special and what makes people like it so much. It's hard to put together in your head what a game is going to feel like when you first start playing it. It's really difficult to understand what all these little blurbs that people tell you whenever you start playing a game are actually going to translate to. They tell you, hey, just take your time with the game. The world is actually fun to be in. They say it has horizontal progression instead of vertical progression, so you don't have to worry a ton about grinding out gear and all of these things. They say that it's about the community aspect of it. You don't have any idea what those things actually mean unless you pick up Guild Wars 2 and play it. Let's start off with a pretty easy one to kind of talk about, and that's the community. So on day 2 of playing this game, I start streaming it live to YouTube. I get about 80, 90 people at a time, almost, hitting 100 here and there. I have about, 800, 900 people come through, and all of them are extremely nice. And that is such an uncommon thing to see in an MMO world. If you are somebody who has found that the other MMO games that you have played, like World of Warcraft, are a little hostile to you, that the people aren't very helpful, this could be a really, really good alternative for you. It is insane how much the people in this game are just willing to help out. I mean, I was given gifts, not just gold, but in-game items that made my life easier, like a boss transporter or a infinite pickaxe for gathering resources. And I was told by many people that this is not even just a streamer thing. This is a totally normal, they do it for lots of people. If you make friends in this game and you need something, a lot of times you will get that thing given to you because people just want to help you like this game. So, the community, top tier. Absolutely top tier. One of the best that I've seen in an MMO. It doesn't have any of that sort of aggression or rudeness that you see in other MMOs. Even RuneScape's community is I would say a tier below, and just a tier below because the RuneScape community is awesome, but the community in Guild Wars 2 is something completely different that you have to play in order to understand what's going on. And I don't think it's just because people think that you're a sprout. I think that genuinely people want more people to play this game because it gets so easily overlooked and so often overlooked. Let's move on to the concept of horizontal progression, which is something else that I started to learn about in this game. Guild Wars 2 is different. There is what they say all the time, no gear treadmill in Guild Wars 2. But that's not telling the whole truth about Guild Wars 2. That makes you believe that you can get your in-game gear very quickly, and then you don't have to work for anything else. Guild Wars 2 has an insane amount of content for you to do in it, and all of it is valuable in one way or another. There are items in Guild Wars 2 called Legendary Equipment. Now, Legendary Equipment is a special thing in its own right. Prior to legendary equipment, you get what I believe is called ascended equipment. Ascended equipment is basically in-game gear that you can equip on your characters, and it's usually not soulbound, so you can move it from character to character. You can take a sword from one guy, and anyone else who can use a sword that you have on your account can put that sword on as well, so you don't have to grind for that gear. But legendaries are even more special. Legendaries are account-wide unlocks that you can use after you do extremely difficult tasks that could range from gathering an unbelievable amount of a single resource or multiple resources, or to getting lots and lots of achievements that you have to unlock in order to be able to actually craft the legendary, doing dungeons or strikes, just lots and lots of different things. Strikes are like their version of raids almost, but not really. They're basically single boss fight, large scale mechanic based fights. Now legendaries can be used on multiple characters at the same time. So, the really special thing about Guild Wars 2 is that all of the legendaries have selectable stats, and usually you will be able to find a build with all of the legendaries that are selectable on any character that you would want to roll. So what that means is that once you play Guild Wars 2 for long enough, and you get a full set of legendary items in every single tier of armor, so heavy, medium, and light, you get one of each accessory, and you get one of every single weapon style except for dual-wielding weapons, which you'll need two of, like swords. Then you can play any single character that you want in any single build at late game without you having to worry about re-grinding for gear ever again. It circumvents the entirety of the grind and the necessity to have real-world trading, paying for carries, lots and lots of these things that other people have problems with. Earning the legendaries is not something that is easily given to somebody. Earning your mounts in this game is not something that is easily given to somebody. You have to earn everything yourself because they take long periods of time to be able to do that and require multiple outcomes in order to get them. During this time, I did jumping puzzles, which were an absolute ton of fun, except for this one. This one that you're probably seeing on the screen right now. Don't go here. Don't go here and look for invisible walls. Don't go through those invisible walls and then get stuck trying to find your way to the top. Don't get stuck when you fall down and be so glad that it's finally over and then have a viewer jump down and drop a portal on you so that you have to continue trying to do it. Don't climb up to the highest point, find the diving goggles, and then jump into the water. Don't do any of that. It is a insane thing that's going on in this game. The convoluted, difficult things that are happening in this game are so difficult to understate. The people and the mentality behind what people are trying to do in this game is so nuts. I have friends now who have played this game for anywhere from 400 to multiple thousands of hours, and they haven't even done everything. I have a friend who has 400 hours in the game and just got his Griffin mount. He just got it yesterday. He just got it when he was talking to me yesterday with 400 hours in this game. He's not even through, I believe, the third expansion at this point. So there is so much content for you to do. You never have to pay for a subscription fee. You buy the content one time and then you are able to play it forever. You can take breaks. You can come back to it on and off. And I think that's some of what is so amazing about this game is that you can take breaks from it so you don't get extremely frustrated and irritated. You don't feel like you have to be sitting there playing every single day of your life because you're paying for a subscription to this game. And I think that is such a cool factor, and it allows you to have a better relationship with the game. Part of the reason why I think that the people are so angry in the World of Warcraft community a lot of times, and I'm not just singling out World of Warcraft, this happens across lots and lots of MMOs, but World of Warcraft has been harassed as being one of the worst, so I'm just using it as an example, is because they're paying for a subscription fee. So if you're wasting their time, they feel a lot more animosity towards them because they feel like you're wasting their money as well, and you kind of are. In this game, you don't have to worry about that. There are lots and lots of people who want to take you all around the world to see all the different things. So we're roughly around day 3 at this point of me playing this game. I have now gotten somewhere into the 30s in my levels. I have gotten a lot better at the mechanics and understanding my class. I now can switch between ability bars and am able to sustain myself and understand some of my passives. And now I start discovering all of these builds in this game. So, to talk about Guild Wars 2 in an extremely nerdy way, there is so much character customization that you can do within every single class. Every single class has multiple traits that they can unlock for that class. On top of that, they also have specs that they can unlock for that class that you have to choose within each individual spec that you level up all the way to get all the skills for, which path you want to build for the spec so that you can then actually run the skills that you need to benefit your character. There's multiple of those, and then on top of that, at level 80, there are what's called elite specs. And elite specs, apparently, I haven't experienced this yet, but I've been told, change completely the feel of your character in the game. So, with all of those things together, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of possibilities and combinations for different builds that you can do for each individual class. You can go online and find a build guide, but also you can just play this game and start to put together what you think will be a good build for your character and utilize the skills that you want. Every single weapon that you use in this game will also change the abilities on your ability bar. Staffs have different abilities than axes, have different abilities than daggers, have different abilities than scepters, have different abilities than war horns, have different abilities for it's such an unbelievably dense system, and you can get overwhelmed so easily. What I found was picking something, sticking to it, and just learning how to play what you have at first was very, very helpful for me. So by this point, I'm now going around and doing world bosses basically with no struggle whatsoever. The bosses who were really difficult for me before, I've now learned the mechanics. I understand how to use my class. I'm actually able to do a little bit of DPS. I'm able to help out. I know when the transitions are coming. I know that at 75% health, the Shadow Behemoth is going to start summoning portals. I know that at 50% health, he'll do it again. I know that he's going to come down and slam his hands down, and I can position myself, go into my spectral form, and then I can drop my force skill on him and start doing damage in AoE and be able to hit multiple parts of his body. I know that I can trash talk in between all of this, and I drop that boss with a large group of people like it's nothing. And this is when I really start to absolutely love this game. Also around this time, we do our first dungeon, which we unlock at level 30, and then you unlock dungeons every 10 levels after that as well. The dungeons are kind of a separate story, so we're not going to get super, super deep into the story of the dungeons, but they are good. There is multiple pathways in every dungeon that you go into. The first time you walk in, you will do story mode, and then after that you do what's called, I believe, the exploration path of the dungeon. In the exploration path of the dungeon, you have multiple branching paths that you can choose to do, and you can go through it 3 times in a row and have a different outcome with different boss fights that you have to deal with. And during this time, we run into the first boss who wipes us over and over again. Not before running through a whole bunch of traps that kill us multiple times that we have to reset for, but this boss in particular sticks out to me as being one of my favorite moments of my playthrough so far. This boss has mechanics to where he is invulnerable, and every single time that you hit him, he will drop these slime ghosts. These slime ghosts have to be grabbed with an item that you find around the area that's basically a proton pack from Ghostbusters. One of your party members has to lift them up, and the other party members have to use another skill for this item that you find in the room and pull them towards you. You pull them into these traps that then charge up the traps. You then bring the boss using the same mechanic to those traps. It hits them with a spike, and then they become vulnerable to attacks, and then you try to wipe them before they come back out. We wipe here probably 7 times. No joke. First dungeon, very difficult. We are pretty overpowered. We have multiple in-game people with us, and there are a couple of us who are still in the leveling phase, roughly around where I am. It is difficult. and I have played lots and lots of MMOs. I just wasn't expecting something like this to happen this early on in this game. And that's the thing that I think if I had to sum up my entire experience with Guild Wars 2 in one sentence, it's I was not expecting something like this to happen this early on in the game. Whether it was the Shadow Behemoth, whether it was the hanging out with lots of people, whether it was fighting an ultra rare spawn on the map, whether it was going to these extremely cool locations and finding these clever jumping puzzles that took me a long time to do, or whether it was going into this dungeon and having a fight that really amazed me in some kind of way, I was floored by the content that this game gave me very quickly and allowed me to experience without me having to sacrifice tons and tons of hours to it. There is very little boring stuff happening. There is grinding, for sure, and you're going to have to grind up to max level, but it is not an unfun experience. There are so many distractions that you will basically lose track of what you're doing every single time that you go to do something, and you will be pulled to another thing to do. The vistas will make you want to visit them. The points of interest will be around in the area that you're trying to walk to your story quest to, so then you go to those. Then you go to those points of interest and you see that there's a heart really close by that you maybe started earlier. It's halfway done, so you think, well, I've already popped this double XP boost. Let me run over there and start to do this event a little bit. It is nuts how much it's difficult to stay on track, and I mark that as a good selling point of the game. I'm trying to sit here and think of what some of the negatives are, but honestly, off the top of my head, the main one that I think of is probably the story. You could be very easily overwhelmed if you are the type of person who is not ready or willing to sort of go into this game with an open mind, because there's so much happening. There is very little guidance on what it is that you should do. There's a compass that will guide you to the closest thing to you that you haven't done yet, but if you ignore that, I mean, it's really up to you. You will find so much stuff. The world map has things hidden absolutely everywhere. There are hidden dungeons around. There are hidden locations around. There are hero point systems of things that you have to earn from doing special challenges. All these legendaries, the mounts have to be earned through doing quest lines. You have to upgrade them by doing other quest lines and earning other things. It is just, if you are one of those people who complains about the things in World of Warcraft, the fact that your gear is outdated on the next expansion, the fact that everything is handed to you too easily, the fact that you don't have to really work for anything anymore, this game will solve all of that for you, and I definitely think that you should give it a try. It is an experience that I will continue to have. I basically have to get to max level now, and after this video, I will probably be playing more Guild Wars 2 immediately to keep leveling up and trying to sort of figure out where I go through this world. I want to see more of the content. People continuously tell me that if I'm enjoying this content, then I'm going to have my mind blown later on, and I have to say that I believe them, because if it actually gets better than this, I mean, it is already as good as any other MMO that I play. If it gets better than this, then I can only imagine the way that it's going to feel. So let's quickly go through a pros and cons list just off the top of my head of what I can think of. Pros. Jumping into the game, you will probably have more than you can possibly want for to do. There is access to really, really fun content right off the bat. The community is really, really good and very willing to help you if you can get together with them. And in fact, in the Discord down below, if you want to go join that, we have quite a good section of that community over there in the Guild Wars 2 tab. The armor sets look incredible. The boss design is really, really good. The dungeon design is solid. The jumping puzzles are tons and tons of fun. The world is fun to exist in. It is a beautiful game in its own way, even if the graphics are a little bit outdated by today's modern standards. It plays like a hybridization of lots and lots of MMOs that I've played, to the point that it almost feels silly of me to try to list all of the ones. And if I could give it a couple of cons, I would say that MMO stories in general are not for me, and sometimes the story quests feel like they drag on a little bit when I just want to get back to romping around the world that I'm currently in. It is difficult for me as a new player to be able to understand what I'm actually doing with my stats and builds, trying to figure out what is good for my particular class. Is somewhat difficult, but this is a learning curve thing in every MMO, so I don't hold it against it too much. And in general, I would say the only other con that I can think of is that it's so unique to itself that it's hard to explain to other people why they should really be playing it. So you might have a difficult time getting your friends into it, but if you do, they will love it and understand that there is so much going on. I just think that it's one of the best times that I've had in a video game in quite a while, especially a new one that I've logged into and immediately put 30 plus hours into. So sorry for the rambling video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. I hope that you've enjoyed the footage that's gone along with it. Now, if you want to get your Janthier Wilds copy, the free one that we're going to be giving away in this video, all you have to do is go down below and comment what your main class is and your /age down there as well. This will not affect your chances of winning. We will end this giveaway a week from today, which is Tuesday. So a week from today, that will be... Hold on one moment. Let me find out. We will end this giveaway on the 3rd of September, and on that day, I will put everyone's names who commented their main character, who, you know, what your class is and your race and your /age down below. I will put you all into a random number generator, and whoever comes out will be the person who will get that free copy of Janthier Wilds that was donated by Jacera. So please do that. Comment below your main character and your age, and we will get somebody a free copy of this expansion that's supposed to be really, really good. And that's it, guys. That's my initial thoughts about this game. It was astounding, and I can't wait to play more of it, and I hope that some of you come along for the journey if you haven't already. Hope you guys have a good one and be safe out there. Bye.